The morning sun painted our kitchen in shades of gold, and for once, everything felt perfect. The coffee maker hummed its familiar tune, and the aroma of freshly baked croissants filled the air. I stood there, barefoot on the cool tiles, savoring the quiet moment before the world demanded my attention. My name is Kiara, and that morning was the last time I felt truly at peace. You're going to be late again. Jude's voice cut through my reverie, sharp and accusatory. He stood in the doorway, already dressed in his crisp navy suit, his laptop bag slung over his shoulder. I have plenty of time, I replied, glancing at the clock. 7:30 a.m., an hour before my first meeting. That's what you always say. He sighed, running his fingers through his perfectly styled hair. Remember last week's presentation? You barely made it. The memory stung. I'd arrived with 2 minutes to spare, but in Jude's world, that was practically late. I got there on time. Barely. He moved to the counter, picking up his travel mug. You need to manage your time better, Sierra. It's becoming a problem. Something in his tone made me pause. The criticism felt different today. Heavier, somehow. A problem for whom exactly? For everyone. He wouldn't meet my eyes. The team notices when you rush in last minute. It reflects poorly on both of us. Both of us? I laughed, but it came out hollow. I didn't realize my time management skills affected your reputation. Everything you do affects me. We're married, remember? The way he said married sent a chill down my spine. Before I could respond, his phone buzzed. He checked it quickly, his expression shifting. I need to go. Early meeting. He moved toward the door, then stopped. Oh, and don't forget to pay the credit card bill today. After he left, I sat at the kitchen island, my coffee growing cold. Something felt off. Jude had never been this concerned about my punctuality before. I opened my laptop to pay the bill, trying to shake off the unease. The credit card statement loaded, and my eyes caught on a transaction I didn't recognize. A receipt from the Grand Hotel downtown, dated last Tuesday. The night Jude said he was working late. Hey, Quinn. I called my best friend, my fingers trembling slightly as I held the phone. Can you meet for lunch today? Sure, what's up? You sound weird. I hesitated, staring at the receipt. I need to talk to someone. Shara? Quinn's voice softened. What's wrong? Maybe nothing. Probably nothing. I took a deep breath. But I found something, and I can't shake this feeling. I'll meet you at our usual spot. Noon? Perfect. I hung up, my gaze drawn to the family photo on our fridge. Jude and me at the beach last summer, both smiling, both looking happy. I grabbed my keys and bag, determined to get to work early just to prove Jude wrong. As I reached the door, our neighbor Angela called out from her porch. Kiara, did you hear about the new family that moved in down the street? No, I haven't had the chance to meet them. The husband looks exactly like Jude. Could be his twin. Isn't that funny? I forced a smile, but my stomach churned. Yeah, funny. Driving to work, I couldn't stop thinking about the hotel receipt, Jude's strange behavior, and Angela's comment about the new neighbor. Each thought felt like a puzzle piece, but I couldn't see the full picture yet. One thing was certain. Something wasn't right. And I needed to find out what it was. Look at this, I said, sliding my phone across the table to Quinn. The lunch crowd at our favorite cafe buzzed around us, but all I could focus on was the evidence I'd gathered over the past week. Quinn's eyes widened as she scrolled through the photos. 2 tickets to Sunset Resort? And he said this was a business trip? Scheduled for next weekend. I stabbed at my untouched salad. But that's not even the worst part. Watch this. I pulled up the banking app, showing her the pattern of transactions. See these restaurant charges? Always on Tuesdays and Thursdays, always in Riverside Heights. That's like an hour away. Quinn frowned. Why would he go that far for lunch? Exactly. I leaned back, crossing my arms. So I called the office yesterday, pretending to drop off something for him. His assistant said he's been working remotely those days for months. Quinn set down her fork. Have you asked him about it? I tried. Last night at dinner. I remembered how my hands had shaken as I'd brought it up. Watch this. I pulled up my phone's recording app and pressed play. How's work going? My recorded voice asked casually. Busy, the usual. Jude's voice crackled through the speaker. Those client meetings in Riverside Heights must be exhausting. A pause. Too long. What meetings? The ones every Tuesday and Thursday? Oh, right. Yeah, new client, big account. Another pause. Listen, I need to take this call. I stopped the recording. He didn't have any calls. Quinn reached across the table, squeezing my hand. Ciara, you need to confront him directly. Not yet. I pulled out a printed map. Look where all these charges are clustered. There's a residential area right here. You're not thinking of... I'm following him. Tomorrow. I met her concerned gaze. It's Tuesday. This is crazy. What if... My phone buzzed. A text from Angela. Just saw your husband's look-alike again. He was helping his wife with groceries. Such a gentleman. I showed Quinn the message. Still think I'm crazy? The next morning, I called in sick to work. Parked 2 blocks from our house, I watched Jude leave at his usual time. My hands trembled as I turned the key in my ignition, but my resolve was solid. He drove for exactly 58 minutes, taking the highway to Riverside Heights. I maintained a safe distance, my heart pounding with each turn. Finally, he pulled into a quiet suburban street lined with maple trees. And then I saw it. A beautiful 2-story house with a wraparound porch. A woman stepped out, tall, elegant, with long, dark hair. She smiled as Jude approached. He kissed her cheek with familiar ease. My phone's camera clicked rapidly as I documented everything, my vision blurring with tears I refused to shed. A child's voice rang out. Daddy! A little girl, maybe 6 years old, ran out to hug him. She had his eyes. I drove home in a daze, pulling over twice to throw up. When I finally made it back, I found an email from our shared credit card company. Thank you for updating your mailing address. What mailing address? I logged in, my fingers shaking. There it was, a secondary statement being sent to an address in Riverside Heights, the same street I'd just left. My phone buzzed again. Angela. Saw the lookalike's wife at the grocery store. She was telling the cashier about their anniversary next month. 10 years. Can you believe it? 10 years. Jude and I had been married for 8. I walked to our bedroom, opened his closet, and started counting his suits. 6 missing. I checked his drawer. The vintage watch his father gave him. Gone. He wasn't living a double life. He was living 2 complete lives, and I had proof of every single lie. The memories hit me like a tidal wave as I sat in my living room, spreading out years of photographs across the coffee table. Every business trip, every late meeting, every missed dinner suddenly had new meaning. My phone rang. Quinn again. I let it go to voicemail. Instead, I called Jude's office. Hi, this is Marshall Butler's office. A cheerful voice answered. Hello, this is Ciara, Jude's wife. Is Marshall available? I'm sorry, he's in a meeting with Jude and the Riverside team right now. My laugh came out bitter. Of course he is. Could you tell me when that meeting is scheduled to end? Actually, Mr. Butler is free now. Would you like me to transfer you? The lie caught in my throat. No, that's fine. Thank you. I hung up, my hands shaking with rage. Marshall knew. He had to know. The doorbell rang, making me jump. Quinn stood on the porch, holding a bottle of wine and wearing her intervention face. You weren't answering your phone, she said, pushing past me. I've been busy. I gestured to the evidence spread across my living room. Look at this Christmas card. 3 years ago. Quinn picked it up. The photo showed Jude at a ski resort, supposedly on a business trip. He was wearing a blue scarf I'd never seen before. Now look at this. I pulled up Facebook on my laptop. His other wife's page. Public, thank God. Same scarf, same resort, same weekend. Kara, you need to. I'm not done. I clicked through more photos. Every single alibi, every business trip, every late meeting, he was with them, building a whole other life while I sat here like an idiot. You're not an idiot. Quinn sat beside me. He's the monster here. A monster who's about to get exactly what he deserves. I pulled out my notebook. I've mapped out everything. His schedule, his lies, his finances, and I know exactly how to destroy him. What are you planning? Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. A text from Angela. Your husband's double just left for work. His wife mentioned he's giving a big presentation tomorrow at Butler and Associates. I showed Quinn the message. See? Even the universe wants him exposed. Kiara, wait. But I was already dialing Marshall's office again. This time I had a different approach. Hi, this is Trinity Mills' wife, I said, using her name for the first time. I need to speak with Marshall about tomorrow's presentation. Oh, of course, Mrs. Mills. Let me transfer you. Quinn's eyes widened as Marshall's voice came on the line. Trinity, what can I do for you? Actually, this is Kiara, Jude's other wife. Silence. I think we need to talk, Marshall, about Jude's creative approach to work-life balance. More silence then. My office, tomorrow, 9 a.m. I hung up, feeling powerful for the first time in weeks. What are you doing? Quinn asked. Getting answers. I stood up, walking to our wedding photo on the wall, and then making sure he loses everything, just like he deserves. And what about his other family? The little girl? I took down the photo, studying Jude's lying face. They deserve to know the truth too, don't they? Quinn poured 2 glasses of wine. And after you destroy his life? What then? I smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Then I start living mine. That night, I lay in bed listening to Jude's steady breathing beside me. Tomorrow, he'd give his big presentation, unaware that his carefully constructed house of cards was about to come crashing down. I touched my wedding ring, thinking of Trinity wearing its twin on the other side of town. By this time tomorrow, we'd both know exactly who Jude really was, and he'd know exactly who he'd underestimated. Marshall's office felt colder than I remembered. He sat behind his massive desk, his usual confidence replaced by visible discomfort. Does Trinity know you're here? He asked. No, but she will. I placed my folder of evidence on his desk. Just like she'll know about these. He flipped through the documents, his face paling. How long have you known? Long enough to gather everything I need. I leaned forward. The question is, how long have you known? Marshall loosened his tie. Sierra, this is complicated. Really? Because it seems pretty simple to me. My husband's been living 2 lives, and his boss helped him do it. I didn't. A knock interrupted us. The door opened, and Trevor, Jude's colleague, stepped in. Sorry, I didn't know you were in a meeting. He started to back out, then froze, staring at me. Mrs. Mills? Which one? I asked coldly. Trevor's eyes darted between Marshall and me. I should go. Stay, I commanded, surprising myself with my authority. You knew too, didn't you? Trevor slumped against the wall. I tried to tell him it was wrong. But not wrong enough to tell either of his wives? He said he'd ruin my career. I laughed bitterly. Well, now I'm going to ruin his. Marshall stood up. Sierra, think about what you're doing. This could affect a lot of people. Like Trinity? And her daughter? I pulled out my phone. Speaking of whom, the door opened again. Trinity walked in, elegant in a blue dress, confusion crossing her face as she saw me. I'm sorry, she said. I must have the wrong meeting. No, I said, standing. You're exactly where you need to be. I'm Ciara, Jude's wife. She laughed nervously. There must be some mistake. I'm Jude's wife. Yes, I said softly. You are. The color drained from her face as I pulled out the photos, the bank statements, the dual credit card bills. Her hands trembled as she looked through them. 8 years, I said. I've been married to him for 8 years. 10? she whispered. "We've been married 10 years. Marshall tried to intervene. "Ladies, perhaps we should—" "Shut up," we said in unison. Trinity sank into a chair, still clutching the evidence. "The business trips were to me," I finished. "The late meetings with me." She looked up, tears in her eyes. "Did you know?" "Not until recently." I sat beside her. "Did you?" She shook her head, then suddenly straightened. "The presentation. He's giving the quarterly presentation right now." I smiled. "I know." "To the entire board," Marshall added, realization dawning on his face. "And every regional manager," Trevor chimed in. Trinity stood up, wiping her eyes. "Where?" "Conference room A," Marshall said weakly. Trinity turned to me. "Shall we?" I gestured to the door. "After you." As we walked down the hallway, our heels clicking in perfect sync, Trinity spoke quietly. "He took everything from us." "Yes," I agreed. "And now we're going to take everything from him." We reached the conference room doors. Through the glass, I could see Jude at the podium, commanding the room with his usual charm. "Ready?" I asked Trinity. She squared her shoulders. "I've been ready for 10 years. I just didn't know it." Together, we pushed open the doors, ready to watch Jude's perfectly constructed world crumble before his eyes. And for the first time since discovering his betrayal, I felt something other than pain. I felt powerful. The conference room fell silent as Trinity and I walked in. Jude's voice trailed off mid-sentence, his PowerPoint slide forgotten behind him. "Ladies and gentlemen," I announced, my voice steady despite my racing heart. "I apologize for interrupting, but we have an important addition to today's presentation." Jude gripped the podium. "Ciara, what are you—" "This is my wife, Trinity." I gestured to her. "Oh, wait, I'm sorry. She's your wife." Murmurs rippled through the room. Board members exchanged glances. "Perhaps we should take this outside," Jude suggested, his charm wavering. Trinity stepped forward. "Why? Afraid of mixing your two lives together?" "That ship has sailed." I pulled out my folder, handing copies to the board members. "You'll find detailed documentation of how your star employee has been manipulating company resources to maintain 2 separate households." "2 sets of business trips," Trinity added. "2 expense accounts," I continued. "2 lives." We finished together. Jude's face had turned ashen. "I can explain the dual credit card statements?" I asked. "The fake business meetings?" Trinity chimed in. "The way you used company time and money to juggle your families?" I pulled up an email on the presentation screen. "Or maybe you'd like to explain this email to Marshall, detailing how to hide your double life in the company books?" Marshall, who had followed us in, sank into a chair. A board member stood up. "Marshall, is this true?" Marshall looked at Jude, then at the board. "I thought I was helping a friend." "By facilitating fraud?" Trinity asked, her voice sharp. Jude moved toward us. "Please, let's discuss this privately. Think about Emma." "Our daughter?" Trinity's voice cracked. "The one you only see twice a week because you're supposedly traveling for work? Except you're not traveling, are you? You're playing house with another family." "I loved you both," Jude pleaded. "I still do." "Love?" I laughed. "Is that what you call lying to 2 women for a decade?" The board chairman cleared his throat. "I think we've seen enough. Security, please escort Mr. Mills from the building. Marshall, stay behind." As security approached, Jude made one last attempt. "Ciara, Trinity, please, I can make this right." Trinity pulled off her wedding ring, placing it on the conference table. "No, you can't." I did the same. The ring sat there, identical bands glinting under the fluorescent lights. "Your belongings will be sent to both addresses," the chairman announced. "And Mr. Mills, expect to hear from our legal team." As security led Jude away, I turned to Trinity. "Are you okay?" She nodded, then laughed suddenly. "You know what's funny? I always wanted to meet his colleagues' wives." I guess I finally did. In the hallway, Quinn was waiting. She hugged me tightly, then looked at Trinity. How about we all get a drink? God, yes, Trinity said. As we walked out, Trevor caught up with us. I'm sorry, he said. I should have told you both sooner. Yes, you should have, I agreed. But you can make it right now. The board will need statements from everyone who knew. He nodded. Whatever you need. At the bar, Quinn raised her glass. To freedom. To truth, Trinity added. To karma, I finished. Trinity touched my arm. What do we do now? I thought about the years of lies, the carefully constructed deception that had ruled our lives. Now, we start over. Both of us. Both of us, she echoed, raising her glass again. As we sat there, three women united by one man's betrayal, I realized something. In trying to destroy us, Jude had actually made us stronger. And this was just the beginning. The lawyer's office buzzed with tension as Trinity and I sat across from Jude's attorney. 3 weeks had passed since the conference room showdown, and now came the messy part. My client proposes an equal split of assets, the attorney said, sliding documents across the table. Equal? Trinity scoffed. Between both wives? That would give him 2/3, I pointed out. Convenient. Our lawyer, Sarah, leaned forward. Let's be clear. Both marriages were valid. Both wives are entitled to full compensation. That's impossible, Jude's attorney protested. There aren't enough assets. Then he should have thought of that before committing bigamy, Trinity snapped. The door opened and Trevor poked his head in. Sorry to interrupt, but you both need to see this. He handed us his phone. On the screen was a news article. Marshall Butler resigns amid fraud investigation. Keep reading, Trevor urged. I scrolled down, my eyes widening. He's cooperating with investigators, providing evidence of systematic fraud. Trinity read over my shoulder, including details of unauthorized use of company resources to maintain multiple households. Oh my God. That's not all, Trevor said. Check your emails. I pulled out my phone. There it was. An email from the board of directors. As victims of this fraud, you're both entitled to compensation from the company. Plus damages, Trinity added, reading her own copy. Jude's attorney cleared his throat. Perhaps we should reconvene after reviewing this new information. No, I said firmly. We're doing this now. Full disclosure of all assets, including offshore accounts. His head snapped up. How did you... Trevor's been very helpful. Trinity smiled. Amazing what people will share when they're facing their own legal troubles. Sarah pulled out more documents. We have evidence of accounts in 3 countries. Shall we discuss those now? The attorney's face fell. I'll need to consult with my client. While you do that, I stood up. We'll be meeting with the district attorney. Fraud charges aren't just civil matters, after all. Trinity gathered her things. Tell Jude we say hello. Oh, and that Emma's college fund? The one he claimed he couldn't find the paperwork for? We found it. In the hallway, Trevor waited nervously. Did I do the right thing? You did the only thing, I assured him. Sometimes redemption means facing consequences. My phone buzzed. A text from Angela. Your ex's lookalike hasn't been home in weeks. His wife seems happier, though. Trinity read over my shoulder and laughed. She's not wrong. I do feel happier. Speaking of happiness, Trevor shifted uncomfortably. Marshall's asking to meet with both of you. Says he has more information. About? Trinity asked. Other women. The words hung in the air like smoke. How many? I finally asked. He's not sure, but there are patterns, business trips to other cities. Trinity's face hardened. Set up the meeting. As we walked to our cars, Quinn called. How'd it go? Better than expected, I said. But it's not over. What do you mean? I looked at Trinity, saw the same determination in her eyes that I felt. Turns out we weren't the only ones. There might be more wives out there. More victims, Trinity corrected. And they deserve to know the truth, too, I finished. Quinn sighed. Just be careful. Don't let revenge consume you. It's not revenge, Trinity said, loud enough for Quinn to hear. It's justice. We reached our cars, parked side by side. Trinity turned to me. Ready for round 2? I thought about all the other women out there, living Jude's lies just like we had. They deserved to know who they married. Just like we did. As we drove away from the lawyer's office, I realized something had shifted. This wasn't just about Jude anymore. It was about every man who thought he could play God with people's lives. And we were just getting started. Marshall's hands shook as he spread the documents across the interrogation room table. The police detective stood silently in the corner, recording everything. 3 more, Marshall said. In Pittsburgh, Denver, and Seattle. Trinity gripped my hand under the table. Names? Rachel, Kate, and Diana. Marshall pushed forward 3 photos. All married within the last 5 years. While he was married to us, I said. The detective stepped forward. And you facilitated these marriages? Marshall wiped his forehead. I helped with the paperwork, created business accounts, set up fake offices. Why? Trinity demanded. Why help him do this? Because he had dirt on me, too. Marshall pulled out another folder. Corporate fraud, insider trading. He threatened to expose everything if I didn't help. The door opened and Trevor walked in with more files. Found the marriage certificates. All legal, all registered under slightly different names. 5 wives, I whispered. 5 families. 6, Trevor corrected. There's 1 more, in Miami. The detective made a call, then turned to us. Local authorities are contacting them now. You'll both be called as witnesses in the federal case. Trinity stood up suddenly. I need to check on Emma. She's safe, the detective assured her. We have officers watching both your houses. Jude was arrested an hour ago trying to board a flight to Mexico. My phone buzzed. A text from Quinn. Turn on the news, now. The detective flipped on the small TV in the corner. There was Jude in handcuffs being led into a police station. The headline scrolled. Corporate executive arrested. Multiple marriages, fraud charges, and embezzlement. He's going away for a long time, the detective said. The FBI's involved now. Marshall looked up. What about me? Depends on how helpful you continue to be, the detective replied. Trevor's phone rang. He answered, listened, then turned pale. The other wives, they want to meet. All of them. Trinity and I exchanged looks. Where? They're flying in tomorrow. The DA's office arranged everything. The next morning, I stood in a conference room at the courthouse, watching as women filed in one by one. Each carried the same shocked expression I'd worn weeks ago. Rachel, a pediatrician from Pittsburgh. Kate, an architect from Denver. Diana, a professor from Seattle. Maria, a restaurant owner from Miami. And finally, Trinity and me. He told me he was a widower, Rachel said quietly. Told me he'd never been married, Kate added. Said his job kept him traveling, Diana whispered. Ladies, the DA interrupted, entering the room. We have enough evidence to put him away for decades, but we need your testimony. Maria stood up. When do we start? First, Trinity said, we need to talk, all of us, about everything we know. For hours, we shared our stories. Each revelation brought gasps, tears, and eventually anger. But something else emerged too. Strength, solidarity, understanding. My phone buzzed again. Angela. Just saw the news. Can't believe I thought he had a twin. You're better off without him, honey. I showed the message to the group, and for the first time, we all laughed. You know what's funny? Diana said. He used the same wedding vows with all of us. Same anniversary gifts, too, Kate added. Same lies, I concluded. The DA returned with more papers. He's offering a plea deal. No, we said in unison. Trinity stood up. We want our day in court. We want everyone to know what he did. And who he really is, I added. As we left the courthouse that evening, 6 women united by betrayal, Rachel turned to me. What happens now? I looked at these strong, remarkable women, each healing, each fighting back. Now, we take back our lives, and we make sure he never does this to anyone else. Together, we walked into the sunset, not as victims, but as survivors. And tomorrow, justice would begin. The gavel's sharp crack echoed through the courtroom. 20 years, the judge announced. With no possibility of parole, Jude stood motionless as the sentence was delivered, his designer suit replaced by prison orange. He looked smaller somehow, diminished. Additionally, the judge continued, the defendant will pay restitution to all victims, and all assets will be liquidated and divided equally among the affected parties. Trinity squeezed my hand as we sat in the front row, surrounded by Rachel, Kate, Diana, and Maria. Behind us, Quinn wiped away tears. Would any of the victims like to make a final statement? The judge asked. I stood up, my prepared speech forgotten as I looked directly at Jude. You didn't destroy us. You freed us. Trinity stood next. Emma asked me to tell you something. She said, I have 5 new aunts now. That's better than one lying father. One by one, each woman rose, sharing their truth, their strength. Jude's face crumbled with each statement. As officers led him away, he tried one last time. Kiara, please. Goodbye, Jude. We all said in unison, watching him disappear through the heavy doors. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed, but Angela pushed through the crowd holding a box. Ladies, I brought champagne. We gathered in my backyard, all 6 wives, Quinn, Angela, Trevor, and even the detective who'd helped crack the case. The evening air was warm, filled with laughter and possibility. I sold the house, Trinity announced, sipping her champagne. Emma and I are starting fresh. My restaurant's expanding, Maria added, opening a new location next month. And I got the promotion. Rachel smiled. The one I was afraid to take because of Jude's travel schedule. Diana raised her glass. To new beginnings. To freedom, Kate added. To us, I finished. Quinn pulled me aside. You seem different. I am different. I watched the group of women chatting and laughing. We all are. What about dating? Are you ready to— Not yet, I smiled. I'm enjoying getting to know myself first. Trevor approached nervously. The FBI finished their investigation of Marshall. He's cooperating with other fraud cases now. Good, I said. Sometimes the truth sets everyone free. Angela bustled over with more champagne. You'll never believe who moved into Jude's old house in Riverside Heights, a women's shelter. They bought it with anonymous donations. Trinity winked at me. Anonymous, huh? Well, I shrugged. 6 settlement checks buy a lot of karma. As the evening wound down, we gathered for one last toast. These women, once strangers connected by betrayal, had become family. You know what's amazing? Kate mused. He thought he was writing our stories, but we wrote our own ending. Diana hugged her daughter close. A much better ending. Speaking of endings, Rachel pulled out her phone. Guess who just made partner at their law firm? Sarah? We all asked. Our badass lawyer sends her regards. Rachel grinned. And thanks us for the career-making case. The stars emerged as we sat in my garden, sharing plans, dreams, and possibilities. No more lies, no more hiding, no more doubting our worth. My phone buzzed one last time. A text from the detective. Jude's first night in prison. Thought you ladies would want to know. He's crying. I showed the group the message, but instead of satisfaction, I felt only peace. You know what? I said, looking at these incredible women. I don't care anymore. Trinity raised her glass. Because we're too busy living. Too busy thriving, Maria corrected. As crickets chirped and stars twinkled, we celebrated not the end of Jude's story, but the beginning of our own. 6 different stories, 6 different paths, but all leading forward. And not one of us looked back.